And here we are, another Fish Eater Friday. Your question's been excellent. Your comments. I've decided to kind of expand Fish Eater Friday a little bit. I'm going to just sometimes speak on things, because there is a question in this communication came in, but it goes further. And so I thought we'd just go ahead and bring it up on a Friday. Hello, Pope Michael. This is a great video series. I've watched a few already. I wish you would publish a list of books you can trust, because when I visit Amazon, I spend most of my time scratching my head trying to figure out if this book or that book is safe. I recently picked up a copy of the Encyclopedia of Catholic Doctrine by OSV, I presume that's our Sunday visitor, and was shocked to read that I should accept Hinduism as a valid religion, or at least that's the impression I got from the text. Making a liar out of Christ when he said, "No one comes to the Father but through me." Any counsel would be greatly appreciated. Oremus pro invicem. Well, I'd like to thank you for the compliment. Hopefully I got something good here to say. Good or not, I'm saying it anyway. Okay. I wish you would publish a list of books you can trust, because when I visit Amazon, I spend most of my time scratching my head trying to figure out if this book or that book is safe. Well, let's face it, there's no imprimatur on Amazon. Okay, I'm going to give some general advice. I do want to put up that webpage. But let's get into this a bit. I remember hearing that Mother Angelica recommended staying away from any book published after 1962. The first traditionalist priest to operate in the United States, Father James Dunphy, advised us in the early 70s to stay away from anything after 59. I now draw the line at October 9th, 1958, when Pope Pius XII died. Why? Because anything after that date is tainted by the spirit of Vatican II. Notice Mother Angelica's date is at the beginning of Vatican II. And does this book say what our friend says it says? I'm sure it does. Our Sunday visitor. I haven't looked up an Encyclopedia of Catholic Doctrine. If I saw it in a yard sale 50 cents, I'd probably buy a copy, especially since this came in. I might go $1. For comparative religions research. Okay, Vatican II says that the Holy Spirit works through all religions in essence. That there is some good in all religions. Well, true, they might have a bit of truth. That doesn't make them that good. And if they have truth, it comes from the true religion. So the book says what he thinks it says. I don't know when it was published. I haven't bothered looking that up. I would presume it would be newer. That's why Mother Angelica said go back. That's why Father Dunphy said go back. That's why I say go back. We want to go back before the Great Apostasy. I wish you would publish a list of books that you can trust. And this is a good idea. I'm going to get started on. That's going to take some work, because there are actually a lot of books you can trust out there. So I'm going to lay down here the general principles so you can know what you're doing. Okay. Draw the line with Pope Pius XII's death, 1958. Okay, that's a good place to start. Now, there are a couple ways of going about it, and we'll discuss that here in a minute. But let's look at reprints, because that's what we're looking at now. I mean, I've got 100-year-old books around here, and a lot of them. I've been gathering books for 4 decades as well. When I began building my own library, very few books were in reprint. And can you trust someone to reprint something accurately, or do they have an axe to grind? I began seriously buying books in 1981. I've been acquiring them since my early teens. And for 2 years, when I built the core, the library that's right around me now and in the next room. And I spent thousands of dollars in that 2 years. Everything was used. Mail order booksellers was the main source. Topeka Library Book Sale, a couple bookstores around here provide a few books, but mainly it was mail order booksellers, mainly two. No sense me giving you names. They're not in business, long out of business. And I bought a lot of books. We had Christmas on a regular basis when the mailmen came by with a big load. Okay, in 1983 I got offered a good deal on a reprint of the Summa Theologica of St. Thomas Aquinas, and I thought about it. I went ahead and bought it, about $120 as I recall, and it was about 150 to 180 new at the time. Surely no one would mess with it as soon as what I was thinking, although I was a little bit reticent to do it. I did find out years later that it is an exact reproduction of an earlier edition. In other words, they just simply... I don't think they use the same plates because the book numbering is slightly different. The page numbering. The exact pages are absolutely the same. So, I think it might have been later, well, their own later editions. So, in my studies, I studied imprimatur. That's the first thing we do. Let's go back here. Let's see if this one passes muster. The Spirit of Love, based on the teaching of San Francisco de Sales, C.F. Kelly. No, it doesn't pass muster. No imprimatur. I must not give him much for it, because I even have a note, sounds New Age. So it needs to actually come out of this section of the library. We'll try another one here. No. This one better come through. This is what we did. Do it to this day. You get into a bookstore, book sale, garage sale, wherever you find a book. You open up, you want to know what it is. Sometimes Manual Christian Doctrine right there. Or sometimes on the front cover, not this one. Manual Christian Doctrine comprising dogma, moral, and worship. It's a very good series of books. None in reprint in the moment that I know of. By a seminary professor. John Joseph McVeigh, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 1925. A minor Catholic publisher. Usually it's Benziger or B. Herder is what you'll run into. I mean, if you see Scribner's, that's Protestant. Then you flip in Nickel Obstat, 1918. Another Nickel Obstat, Scanlon, a name I recognize, 1918. Imprimatur, 1918. Sold. I'll buy it. Okay, that's what we did. We wanted to know when it was printed and that it was duly approved by the church. Nickel Obstat and Imprimatur. Imprimatur meaning let it be printed. Nickel Obstat I think means nothing contrary to faith, and that's not required of as many books. Imprimatur, anything treating of religion. So basically anything. There is a caveat before the 1917 code. It was not required to print the imprimatur in the book. And so now, when you're looking at books, you've got to be a little bit careful. You look more for publisher. You hope they put the imprimatur in. Normally, it's inside the title page. This one is standard. You notice I go right inside the title page. I have seen it, and it is valid in the back of the book. Okay? I have noticed sometimes the imprimatur will even precede the title page. That's in the really older books where I noticed that. But it came to be standard inside the title page. Okay. So, that's how you can judge an old book. So, what do we do with reprints? Because that's what we're going to be dealing with more and more and more. These books are sometimes getting harder to find. I am still finding good books. Of course, I'm set up to receive one catalog, I think is all I'm left on. Preserving Christian Publications, about the only one really dealing exclusively in out-of-print Catholic books. So you can go there to their website. They have used and they are now reprinting. I don't think I've ever bought one of their reprints, so I'm not sure how faithful they are. I would presume they're faithful, but I mean, people running it now are not the people I knew who were running it 20 years ago or so. About 25 years ago, I think is when it started up. It was a successor to another one I had dealt with. In any case, that's the only one I know of dealing in used Catholic books. A lot of your stuff now is like Amazon. It's the best source. You can find some stuff on eBay. I know for selling books is not a great place to sell books, but you might be able to buy. I bought a couple off of eBay. Used bookstores. I mean, you get to use bookstores, it's going to be chance. I have a few throughout areas where I've traveled, like I go there on a regular basis. There's one over in Kansas City. It deals with ministers' libraries, Protestant mainly, but they have a Catholic section, and I go in there and usually can dump about $50 on books. So used, you know they haven't monkey with, but we got to get down to reprints because let's face it, that's to preserve these books. Now, a lot of these are in good condition. I got some around here. I hate to take them off the shelf. That's how bad they're falling apart, just from age. There are two basic ways to reprint a book. The first is to make an exact photographic reprint. I'm talking about using today's technology. There's equipment out there. One piece of equipment for about $7,000. I wish I had money to buy. Which you could do a whole book in a couple of hours. The second is to OCR the book, that is optical character recognition. You take and you convert the printed page, you have to photograph it in some manner, scan it into the computer, then convert it to text. Now you can work on it in Microsoft Word, OpenOffice, any word processor, and you retypeset it in essence. You reformat it. And so the only one that would be able to fly is a photographic type reprint. My studies on imprimatur, I found out how the church judges the matter. Each new edition of a book requires a new imprimatur. However, there was a discussion, I believe it was a decision, that an exact reproduction using the same plates does not require a new imprimatur because those plates are already approved. I would think a photographic reprint would follow on the same basis, provided they don't change something. And for a matter of convenience, just stop and think it would take a lot of work to change something. Like, let's say you're one of these modern-day Feeneyites, and you want to reprint the Baltimore Catechism using photographic reprint, that you want to get rid of baptism, blood, and desire out there. It's going to be pretty obvious, and they get to that page, there's a big white spot. Well, you've removed it. To make it look right, you'd have to do a lot of work. Okay? You'd have to move up the other questions, remember the rest of the book. People are going to know you've done something, unless you do a lot of work to cover your tracks. Retypeset, a lot easier. Okay, so when you're looking, you want to look for photographic reprints. Now, let us take a look at a couple of publishers that are out there. We'll start with Tan Books, who was first. Back in the early 70s, they brought back the Douay-Rheims Bible. No, I don't have a tan Douay-Rheims. All mine are used. And I picked up some good deals on that. I picked up one for 99 cents a couple miles north of here a few years back. I squatted down that bookshelf like, what is that looking at me? No special price, 99 cents is what they charge for books. It's either here or I've given it to someone. In any case, Tan brought back the Douay-Rheims Bible, the only Bible we should use, and Donovan edition of the Catechism of the Council of Trent. They also printed a newer book, Catholic Prophecy. Now, we would put that off of our list because it's newer. Okay, we're wanting certainty now. Some of these things, of course, I've written books, and I would ask you, if you want to study the problems in the church and the current situation, go ahead and read my books. If you want to, you check every quote in there out. Don't take my word for it. You don't trust it. We're trying to find books in general, like an Encyclopedia of Catholic Doctrine. A book like that, I'd want a good one of those in my library. Most Catholics would. Okay. Tan used both methods. Douay-Rheims and the Donovan Catechism of Council of Trent, which I don't think they have anymore, were photographic. Catholic Prophecy, obviously new typeset. Well, they started reprinting other things, and they started retypesetting some of them. That's to be expected. I remember a friend's house in their library. If I come to visit, I'm going to be in your books. I'm a bookaholic, okay? I'll admit it. I like it. I found some good stuff in other people's libraries. So I'm reading one on Fatima. I picked it up, It was actually paperback, tan reprint. Title page, Imprimatur 1942, good to go. I'm just flipping through at random. I'm reading Pope Paul VI. Hold it just a daggum minute. 1942, there was no Pope Paul VI. They had reprinted it under the 1942 Imprimatur with an obvious addition. That's wrong. That's fraud. So retypeset, you can't trust. Necessarily. I mean, depends on the typesetter. But under church law, they would require a new imprimatur. All right? Especially if there's now editing. But even just a mere, if I were to take this Catechism of Christian Doctrine, OCR, and retypeset, it would require a new imprimatur. I could mention that the original was imprimatur back, in 1918. But I would say new imprimatur for this edition was acquired and give the details. Well, the TAN is reprinted the Kincaid Baltimore Catechism. Excellent set of books. It is retypeset with one exception. They have changed the fast law to the 1 hour Paul VI communion fast. Now, I think they put a couple other footnotes in there as well. And those are obvious. But I'm going clear back to our time in the early 70s. Alright, we would know, like this Catechism of Christian Doctrine, let's say I'd found it in a used bookstore back in the early 1970s. We get to the fast laws. We know that the fast laws had changed. Okay, Pius the 12th had changed communion fast, so we'd have evening mass. But if someone reprinted this book, I want it exactly like the original. I want to know nobody's monkeyed with it. Okay? Nobody has made a change, because Catholic doctrine doesn't change. Yeah, true. Catholic church laws can change. The communion fast is an obvious example. But when I get an old book like this, I want to deal with the fast law change my own self, knowing what the church has done. I want this book exactly like the original. So if you reprint this book and you give it to me, I want basically the same interior. I don't need the hardcover. I can live without that. I can do paperback. But when I get inside, I want it to be exactly the same. And so, what can we do on Amazon? Well, we'll get to that in a minute. I do have another thing. We have to be careful with books even before 58. I mean, there's some modernists who were out there working. Some things did get by the censors. Not many, but some. For instance, I have 3 examples of prayer books printed in the 1950s where the consecration form of the wine is printed as for all, not for many. Not 1, not 2, but 3. One of them is a book on ordinations. Another one is a music book, which just has the ordinary, the Mass. Music's fine. But they were sliding some things in there. Gotta remember, the enemy was at work prior to Vatican II. As my dad would tell me, Vatican II was not the beginning, it was the end of a process. They were working on it for 100 years before. Pope St. Pius X warned about it. Others, popes warned about it. Other people warned about it. But mostly, you can trust the books before 58. But if you see something that sounds wrong, ask questions. That's what we need to do. Point this out. You know, if you have a blog, put on your blog. Say, I ran across this and I don't know. This don't sound right. It might not be. It might be something slid in. We need to inform each other when we find things. Okay, so let's go to Amazon, because that's where most of us buy our books. There are a few exceptions like me. I do more used. In fact, I'm thinking of a trip up to Omaha in a month or two. Hit the bookstores up there just for some fun. Yeah, I'm a bookaholic. I like hitting used bookstores. That might be a subject for a whole video someday. But most of us do go to Amazon. I'm buying more books myself at Amazon than I used to, because it's the go-to source. They started in books. So until I get a list up, there's some things you can do on your own. Some of the books on Amazon allow you to look inside, just as you would look in a book at a bookstore. Okay. Now it's easy to tell the difference between retypeset and photographic reprint. Retypeset, they're going to probably use Times New Roman. I don't think they were using Times New Roman 100 years ago. Now, they look different. Okay? The formatting is different. And so you can look at that. Because if you retypeset, you also notice the page count goes down. Because I've had to retypeset a couple books. Your page count might go down from like 300 to about 170. That's why people retypeset. I can put a book out much cheaper retypeset than a photographic reprint. I can put it on the shelf for less money. Okay, so what you need to do, maybe hit some used bookstores and just look at how they formatted books 100 years ago and get an idea. I mean, you could even look at secular books for this comparison. Now get you an idea what they look like, and then look inside the reprint. Ask the seller a question. Okay? And for safety's sake, don't buy a retypeset book unless you know the typesetter has done an accurate job. A lot have. I've got some retypesets, Ignatius Press. There was another. Yeah, they're all getting taken over. St. Benedict took over 10. 10 just swallowed up somebody. I just got an email from him. I forget which one. But yeah, all your little presses are getting swallowed up by 10. And since St. Benedict, which is, screaming Novus Ordo, or maybe on the conservative side. I mean, I'm getting stuff from St. Benedict /10. They're pushing the Revised Standard Protestant edition of the Bible or something. I don't want that. It's not Catholic. Okay. So if you don't trust a typesetter, don't buy a retypeset book. Draw the line. Go used if you have to. But reprints are good. And that's someone asked the other day, how do I support this place here? Well, donations is one way. Inheritance is another way. I'm going to discuss this in a separate video. But one of the things I've been doing for my own self is bringing back. I've got a resource where I can get at books, so I can photographically reproduce them. Actually, I have several I use. One of them's a nice Catholic library that they haven't taken one darn book out of there. Every book's still there, which is hard to find. I know of 2 such libraries. I think there are others, but I know I've been in 2. And this one is almost my backyard. And that's a fun day's trip up there. But I'm bringing them back. You bring them. Okay? Directorium Asceticum. 4-volume set. See, this way I can get it out of the library or whatever, reproduce it, and then I get print for myself at wholesale at cost of production through CreateSpace, which is a division of Amazon. And that's where I do my stuff. So if you looked up Directorium Asceticum, find the 4 volumes, the publisher's going to say CreateSpace. I did it, and it's through CreateSpace, a division of Amazon. I'm the only one doing photographics that I know of Catholic books through CreateSpace. I haven't run across another one. There's a couple retypesetters up there now. Because sometimes I recognize the very file, because I've got the file downloaded on my own computer, I've run across. The file's free and they've just taken straight printed it. So I brought back a number of books. You can go on Amazon, type in Hermenegild, Hermenegild. Okay, because that's my third order name, is Third Order St. Francis, Brother Hermenegild. And he's listed as prepared for publication by, if I haven't typed that wrong. And you'll come up with, I think it's around 700 books there, which I've been able to bring back. Because some of these I want for my own self, which is one reason for doing it. And others, I want these things to be readily available. And they weren't, and they are now. Directorium Asceticum, I'd heard of it. I looked at it. Oh yeah, I got to put work into it. I've got 2 volumes here. The other 2 are loaned out to a friend. And that's another way where we can help each other. If we are close to each other, you have friends, we're all in this together to learn the Catholic faith, open your library to your friends. But I hope this will inspire you to look for good Catholic books. And I'm going to keep reprinting them until I run out. Because it does help put beans on the table. And it gives people a chance to study from books I know are not tainted. And that's what the main question is. I don't want to hear Hinduism is a valid religion any more than you do. So, I got to get off and reprint a book so I can put fish on the table for this Fresh Eater Friday. God bless you all.